You're listening to UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio. Don't buy, don't comply. Ask why. UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio.
Hello, this is Detlev, Wake News Radio. We are in the United We Strike Radio Marathon. Today is May 14th, 2011. And we just started our English part of the Today show. In the first couple of hours, we had a German part, the broadcasting from the German area in German. And we were talking about slavery in Germany and all the things behind that, the NWO, which is active here all over the place. So if you are interested and you understand German, you can easily listen to the archives later on. And I had a summarizing end part in English, so if you're interested in the second part of the German transmission, I had a quick summary. Now, we are looking forward to having a great day today, because we have now in this third hour of our United We Strike Radio Marathon a great guest from the Netherlands, and that's Steve Phillips, a musician and artist who lives in the Netherlands and who is also supporting our initiative United We Strike by also donating his music, which we played in the break before, which was the tune Dumbing Down, and he will join us in a few seconds. Before we do that, just let me give you a quick overview of what's coming up. You can actually download the whole program of today's radio marathon by just going onto our website, UNITEDWESTRIKE.com, and you will see PDF download of the program, and you can see how we will proceed. Because after the German area, we are now going to the Netherlands, and then we will go to Great Britain and Ireland, and then we'll move on to the States and other places overseas, or to your part, wherever you are listening from. And we will talk about great stuff, not only about rights we have or possibilities we have, but also about things happening all around the world. We will have people from the Gulf of Mexico who are suffering a great deal from the BP catastrophe and the inability of the government to get the things straightened out. And we will also have other fantastic programs. So please stay tuned the whole day, if you can manage. It's going to be very interesting. But now I'm turning back here to our part of the world, and we'll switch to the Netherlands. Steve, are you listening? Are you on already?
I am indeed, Detlev.
Yes, hi. Now that's wonderful that we have you here in our show. And just as a reminder, be sure not to have any speakers running or not too loud, please, because that might give an echo.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Yeah, you do your best. Okay. Now, Steve, you've been active quite some time, and we would like to get to know you a little better. But maybe you can talk about yourself, give us a little bio about yourself, and then talk about the music, obviously, and what's going on in the world.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Let's see. I was born in Wales, in Great Britain. I moved over to Holland when I was about 18, which is quite a while ago.
Oh yeah.
And I've always been interested in music, and I've also always been interested in spirituality. Only somewhat later, I became interested in what was really going on in the world. I think that was sometime after 9/11. I really started to start researching that kind of stuff. And as most of us, I was quite shocked to find out that almost everything I'd ever been told wasn't true. That was quite a shock. So right now I'm concentrating mainly on making music. I'm planning to put out an album in November on 11/11/11.
Oh yeah.
And, so I'll probably be accused of being a Freemason or something. But it seemed to me like a good date to do it on. And yeah, that's about where I'm at the moment.
So you've been lucky enough to be in the position to realize what's happening around the world, because I woke up maybe only 3 or 4 years ago, so so that's you are ahead a little bit. But listening to your music, which I find is really very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I consider waking up, as you call it, and as many people call it, for me not so much a happening as a process. I mean that once you start.
Yeah. So
the rabbit hole just gets deeper and deeper. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. I don't know whether the connection.
You just cut out.
Yeah, so
it seems to be the connection.
Yeah, so why don't we do the following? Because as we're talking about the music, I'll play now some music and the tune Swine Flu, and we try to reconnect. Okay. Okay, so we are listening now to one of Steve's songs. It's the song Swine Flu. So stay tuned. We are back in a minute. Okay, so we have to try to reconnect. We have now running the tune Swine Flu.
Recall me.
So I'll recall you, yeah? Just a second.
2 kilos of real life bird flu virus, sending it out from the level 3 secure laboratory to 16 clinics, almost killing millions. We don't want your swine flu vaccinations. We don't want your swine flu shots. Although it never looked that serious, it took no time to reach pandemic level 6. But we're joining the dots and we're seeing the larger picture. It's the same old bloodlines up to their same old tricks. We don't want your swine flu vaccinations. Blood supply. We don't want your swine flu vaccinations. We don't want your
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rick. Yeah, that's in order to improve the quality of our show, we had to switch the servers. And Steve, we listened to a great song of yours, and maybe you can talk about your songs and how you got to that now, and tell our listeners why you were so critical in your lyrics.
Well, I'm critical in my lyrics because that's what I see, The last song, you just played Swine Flu, didn't you? I'm sorry, I don't
Yes.
have the radio on here.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Well, obviously that song was about that scare we had about the so-called swine flu epidemic, which was supposed to go all around the world and actually turned out to be, nothing more serious than an ordinary flu thing. And well, the lyrics sort of speak for themselves. It's there was Baxter sending out batches of contaminated vaccinations, which almost caused a deadly epidemic, and they weren't even punished for that, which was just shocked me. And I felt very strongly about certainly not taking the vaccination myself, but also trying to make other people aware of the dangers of such a vaccination. And at the time it was very important. Now it seems that song is a little less relevant because we're no longer threatened by at least not by a swine flu epidemic.
Yeah, although in China there's supposed to be some kind of flu going around, and we know they all are related. and for the others, I mean, Baxter is a pharmaceutical company. Just for those who don't know the name.
Yes, one of the major ones. It's always the same names that keep popping up when these things happen.
Yeah. So that was a very good one at the time, but it still is, because we can expect things like that happening every day, because we know there are evil forces behind the curtains, So that's we are all aware of that. What else? What kind of music is your favorite? I mean, what's the kind of message you want to bring to us? I mean, maybe you can talk about the things which are coming up in November a little bit, at least. When I talked to you last week, I mentioned something about the need to know ourselves. Right.
And that's something which is occupying my thoughts a lot these days. A lot of us find it very difficult to know what to do in this time. There's so much going on, there's so much happening, and some of us feel quite powerless, against all of the. It all just seems so well organized, and there's so little we can do. A lot of people don't even want to hear the message, and one of the things which crossed my mind is that until we truly know who we are, and I mean that on a deep spiritual level, then we are not really truly capable of making any proper decisions. And I think that, at least for me, at this moment, that's very, very important. And I have the impression that many of us in the truther movement, if you can call it that, would do well to take that advice for themselves as well. I think it's absolutely necessary to know as much as you can about who you are before you can make any educated decisions. Well, really about anything, and especially now that things seem to be heating up quite a lot.
So you mean basically people should not only become aware of the problems in the world and maybe the people behind the problems, but to become conscious about themselves.
Absolutely, and I would even go so far as to say, at least at this moment in my life, I find that to be the more important of the two. It's important to have knowledge about what's going on, but without knowledge of yourself, you're not capable of doing very much with that knowledge. In fact, what some of us are guilty of, I know I am, is we tend to get a little bit over-enthused about what we know and start scaring the hell out of people,
Yes. Yeah.
And that just has the opposite effect of what we'd like to have. So, my favorite spiritual teacher is Udo Krishnamurti, and he says things like, you and I are society. So it's not them and us. We are part of it. We are what we call society. It's you, me, everybody listening, and everybody else who it's society is not some abstract thing out there. It's the collective of all we are. So the more aware we are of who we are, the better society we will create.
Yes. Well, that sounds very deep as well. I mean, you also make music about this, and you most probably are also planning to put this into words and tunes.
Yes. I actually have a song which I called Know Thyself. And I did record it yesterday, but I'm not happy with the recording yet. So I'm afraid I didn't send it to you. But it's the song is almost ready. So
yeah, we do have listeners from all over the world, and people obviously may like to ask you one or two questions. For people listening now, you can send us an email via radio@wakenews.net. Whether you do this in German or in English or, well, I don't understand Dutch as such. I know you do. Steve even speak Dutch.
Yes, it could be in Dutch or English for me.
Yeah. So, but if you like to send us questions, informations, or comments for Steve and myself, or to United We Strike, you can do this. Just use my email address, radio@wakenews.net. And we had lots of those comments in the first couple of hours. So, yeah.
We've also got a chat room as well on www.icradionetwork.com. That's monitored throughout the entire marathon, so if anybody wants to pop a question on there, then feel free.
Oh, that's a good idea. Thanks, Rick, for that one. Yeah, Steve. So, why don't you talk about this song which you just mentioned?
Okay, I was I'm on my computer now, and I'm trying to find the link which actually inspired that.
Okay.
And that was a guy. It was I saw a video, and it was actually called Know Thyself, and it really made quite a impression on me. And I'm just connecting now to the guy's website. He's called Bernhard Günther. I'm not sure where he's from. It sounds German or something.
Yeah, it sounds German. That's true.
And he has a website called veilofreality.wordpress.com. And he made this video, Know Thyself, and that's what got me thinking about my own position, and sometimes having conflicts with friends, can't you lay off all of that doom and gloom stuff and just watch the football or something, I'd noticed that some people seem to be open to what's happening. Other people aren't open at all. And one thing I've learned in the last 6 or 7 years of being busy with this kind of thing is that there is just no way you can approach somebody who has switched off for this kind of stuff. And I think it was you, Detlev, that said something about like them being on a different frequency. You know, it's like the television is tuned into the BBC, and you're not going to be able to watch, another station. And
absolutely right. Yeah, if the receiver and the transmitter is not equal, then you don't get the message.
Yes, but it does seem that some people don't have the receiver, and excuse me, there seems to be no way through to these people, because I have friends who I consider to be quite intelligent, and they have good jobs, and they're great fun to be with and everything, but they just will not see some of the stuff which is absolutely obvious to me. Like, for example, the recent supposed killing of bin Laden. When that happened, I thought, well, this is just a bridge too far, you know. People won't believe this. But to my surprise, most people did. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cough.
Yeah, why don't you have some water?
Yeah.
In between.
Yeah, that that seems to be better.
Yes. Well, we still have a long day before us, so so we have to take care of that, because water is actually the most important thing a human being or animals do need, because we consist a lot of water. You know, most of our physical parts is water, so it is very important to always have enough of that. Yeah. So if you want to have a little break, we can have another song of yours. Rick has some more of your songs. Rick, can you play a song of Steve, and he can go and catch some water? Could you do that?
When they gambled it all away. facts. Covering up the facts. Covering up their tracks.
This is Wake News Radio with Detlev on UWS Community Radio and the International Community Radio Network.
Yeah, this is Detlev here, and we are on our United We Strike Radio Marathon on May 14th, 2011, and we do have a great guest here in this hour. This is Steve Phillips from the Netherlands, and we already heard a few of his tunes, and he was talking about his work and how he got to all the lyrics. And now, Steve, you are on again?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so why don't we talk again a little bit? You also have a website, is that correct? Could you say this to our audience because they're interested in that?
Yes, my website is www.stevephillips, that's Phillips with 2 L's, Stripe music, Steve Phillips, stripemusic.com.
And everybody who is interested should have a look on your page, because you know, learn about your work and the insights and so forth. And we just listened to one of your songs, which was that was an inside job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk about this one?
Well, Inside Job is one of the most recent songs I've made, and it's a very short song. I think it's 2 minutes 50, something like that, and it just has three verses, and obviously there's not an awful lot you can say in such a short time, because you know somebody like David Icke spends all day talking about these kind of things, you know.
Yes.
So you know, in 2.5 minutes, there's not an awful lot you can say. So what I basically did is I took what I consider to be 3 of the most important issues of our time, which is the banking system, what happened on 9/11, and the situation in Palestine, and just basically reference them in the hope that people might think, oh, well, you know, maybe I should look into that some more. You know, that's the basic idea. It's that's all you can do in a couple of minutes in a pop song. I mean,
the usual thing. I mean, if you talk about music, you know, that's usually a thing of entertainment. You know, not many artists are really very critical. I mean, we talked about this. Maybe John Lennon was, but he got killed. You know, so,
yes.
it's a very sad thing, obviously. And media, the regular mass media is not very happy to play songs which have a critical content.
Well, I haven't gotten any calls from them yet.
I could bet, yeah. Well, you know, that's why we support you, and why we support musicians and artists like you. And there are a few around, fortunately, who are also supporting our initiative on United We Strike. And you know, if musicians and artists are currently listening, please, you're welcome. Get in contact with us, and we need to have an alternative media wave in order to support your music, because your lyrics actually, and the music, of course, do transmit what is wrong in the world, and everybody, you know, should learn. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic what you're doing, giving musicians all over the world the chance to have a platform. That's fantastic. So thank you for doing that.
Yes, and I have somebody here sending an email. I may read to you. Hello, Steve. I want to say that your music will bring the spirit back. It's always the best way to connect people together. Go forward with your music, and I hope your songs will wake up as much people or as many people as possible. great wishes from Germany. We have a German listener here. So you see, there is a reaction.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much to that person from Germany.
Yeah, so, you will hit an international audience in any case, as we will keep on playing your music also during our program, which is coming up.
That's fantastic.
And also, we talked about this on Sundays. We usually have a music program as well. Please visit our website and our program, and you will learn about that. So UNITEDWESTRIKE.com is our website, and you can download the program of today and get some more information. Okay, Steve, now, yes, I mean, getting back to what we discussed before, the consciousness of the people to discover themselves is very important. Can we talk about this a little bit more?
Yes, and the consciousness of every individual is basically the larger consciousness which we live in. So I would say that developing our own consciousness in whatever ways we can, by trying to make sure your body is healthy and that you don't watch too much television and that you maybe do something along the lines of meditation, whatever works for you. I think that's probably the most important part of the work. And secondly, keeping an eye on what is actually happening. And as for waking up people, that's such a hard thing to do. I sometimes even wonder, if people decide to be asleep or if they decide not to look at stuff, maybe we just have to say thank you and leave them to it. Some people seem to be more open than others, and I guess those are the people we need to be talking with. But quite a large section of the population, at least in my experience, seems to want to have nothing to do with what they consider sort of fear-mongering and doom and gloom stories. It seems to me that we're wasting our energy on people like that. That's obviously they've chosen a different path, and I guess we need to respect that and get on to people who might be ready to choose a more awakened path.
Yeah, I usually talk about this in my shows as well. There is a third dimension where we are kept as human beings, but there are lots more of dimensions or the universe or whatever you want to say, or spiritual world.
Yes.
And not everybody is willing to enter into that into those dimensional, the spiritual part of the world.
Yeah. And there's one thing I'd like to just touch on if I could find the words for it, and that's when you get into other dimensions and possibly have some kind of contact with other beings or have visions or whatever, it's not necessarily a good spiritual thing. There's plenty of stuff out there. I don't really know how to put it into words. Like you could maybe call it the fourth or the astral dimension, which is very much connected to the third dimensional world that we live in. And it's, just because you have contact with these beings, like for example you can do with drugs, doesn't mean to say that you're on a healthy spiritual path. It could be just the opposite. So I think we need to be very, very selective in our spirituality and be very, very sure intuitively that we are actually contacting some kind of higher source, because I think a lot of the New Age spirituality out there is doing more harm than good, to be honest.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up at a time when there was the hippies,
Uh-huh.
the 70s and so forth. You may remember that time as well.
Yeah.
And we had the first contact with drugs, as such. I mean, there have been drugs all over the world all the time, but the young people at that time, at the hippie time, were getting into drugs at a certain part of their life. But that may have opened up one or the other mind, but that was definitely not the right way, was it?
Well, no. I mean, in the 70s, I must admit I did do quite a bit of LSD, and I have no regrets whatsoever. And it probably did help to open my mind quite a lot, but I would certainly not recommend anybody do that. It's a very, very dangerous way of experimenting with spirituality. And another thing I would say about the hippie period is that they fulfilled a very important historical part of what's happening. I would see them as the forefathers of where we are now. At the time, nobody seemed to have very many answers for the problems of the world, but at least they were seeing the problems, and they chose mainly to basically drop out and have lots of sex and drugs, which was, I'm sure, a lot of fun. But where we are now, I think we have a movement which is actually much larger than the hippie movement, although it's not publicized on the mainstream media. But I think in reality we have a huge movement worldwide, which is much bigger than the hippie movement ever was. And one of the biggest differences between the hippie movement and the movement we have now is that people seem to have answers now as well. There's plenty of models out there for how we could redesign government or redesign a financial system. There's plenty of ideas out there now. It's not like the hippie period that nobody knew what to do. There are solutions out there if enough people decide to go for those solutions. I think we need to reach I imagine most listeners might be aware of the 100th monkey theory.
Yes.
We need to reach the proverbial 100th monkey with enough of us who are awakened sufficiently to be able to change the collective consciousness. And when we can do that, the answers are all already there. Plenty of people have got stuff going like free energy, like political systems which are more of the people.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ideas for growing food on a local level instead of factory farming. All the ideas are there. We just need the consciousness to be able to make use of it. And in that respect, I feel quite positive because although I don't believe that the majority of people seemingly will ever wake up, but it just takes the 100th monkey, and then it's enough. So I don't know how many percent that will be in terms of people. Maybe it could be as little as just a few percent. And I have a strong feeling that we're almost there.
Yeah, I mean, in the U.S. there's a date being mentioned that the rapture may take place pretty soon. I don't want to.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to discuss this necessarily, but I mean, we all sense something is different.
Yeah, that's from some Christian group, isn't it? On the 21st of May, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, I think that's very inconsiderate of God because the 21st of May is my birthday, and I think it's very inconsiderate to end the world on my birthday.
Well, so we will congratulate you then on the 21st.
Yeah. Or on the 22nd, we'll do it.
On the 22nd, yeah. So let's not hope for that. Or if it takes place, well, then it's God's choice, you know.
Yeah, well...
it's not up to us to decide.
Looking at the publicity these people were given, I don't put much weight on the world ending on the 21st of May, so... No, that's right. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, to become more spiritual is definitely the way to go, don't you think? Yes. And it's a real challenge because this is something which cannot be approached with our normal thinking minds.
Yeah.
So it's like meditation, for example. To meditate, you need to be quiet. Your thoughts need to be quiet. But there is no way you can turn off your thoughts with your brain, because it's your brain which is having those thoughts. You know, it's you can't fix the problem with the thing that caused it, which is as Einstein said. So we need to find a way of becoming quiet without trying to do that through thinking. And that's a very, very big challenge for most people. I know it certainly is for me.
Sure.
There's many ways to it. Music is one of them. If you can just, sit there with a guitar and play until the thoughts go. It's not a conscious effort. It's just something that happens. It could be in nature. You can sometimes be awestruck by a sunset, and thought stops. But again, it's not a conscious effort. It's just a byproduct of being very, very aware.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge, especially as I believe most people are very much in their own thoughts. In fact, most of us believe that that's who we are. Our egos. We need to get beyond that and discover that we are much, 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 much more than that.
Yeah. Well, we get another email here for you. Steve, nice to hear you. What do you think of a possibility to reduce radioactivity with a mantram? That's concerning spirituality and karma sing. Therefore, we need 20 million people worldwide. If Detlev likes it, he could post a link to this mantram. And you like singing, Steve, so this may be nice for you, ? So that is from Germany as well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's nice to have so many reactions from Germany. I noticed that Germany seems to me to be one of the most awake countries in Europe. I used to go to an ashram in Holland for Kriya Yoga, and at least half of the people who came there were also from Germany. It's good to see that that country seems to be very awake.
Yes,
a mantram, sounds like a great idea. What's happening in Fukushima seems to be the most serious nuclear disaster we've ever had on the planet, although the mainstream media still claims that that's Chernobyl. I think Fukushima has already surpassed the damage of Chernobyl.
Yeah, by millions. In terms of becquerel, I mean, definitely.
Yeah, and it's very, very serious. In fact, I would recommend people take some kind of precautions with their in their foods. Personally, I sometimes drink miso, which is a Japanese fermented soya paste,
mm-hmm.
and I've heard on good information that can be very helpful to protect you against radiation. And yeah, it's something like a mantra. I don't know if that works or not. I imagine it might well work, and sure, we should try everything along those lines. You know, I certainly don't think the Japanese authorities have the matter under control, except maybe that they seem to have the press under control, but they don't have their nuclear power plants under control.
Yeah, and then sometimes you may ask, why are they placing those nuclear power plants on those critical geographic areas? I mean, the same thing in the U.S. and then over here in Europe as well, you know. There are fault lines, and they built nuclear power plants there. I mean, how can you do that?
It's absolutely ridiculous, but I don't think there's a place on Earth which is safe for nuclear power. It's something that we should not be using, because we have no effective way of dealing with the waste. We can, you know, find dumps for it and keep it encapsulated for maybe, I don't know, 500 years or 1,000 years or less. But what we are basically saying is, well, why don't we just let our grandchildren or the great-great-grandchildren deal with it? You know, it's an incredibly egotistical thing to do. We're just pushing the problem up along to you know, whoever comes next that is going to have to solve these problems that we've made.
Yes. So if anybody listening wants to send an information or a comment or a question to us here or to Steve, can do this by just emailing it to radio@wakenews.net. Steve, we will have just a few minutes left, and we will play another song at the end of the hour. But I encourage everybody, why don't you ask Steve to come over and make a concert around your area? I mean, if it's in Germany or something, maybe he can do this, or talk to people, you know, who could invite him, you know, as well. And, you know, maybe that's the way to spread your message as well. I mean, also obviously using United We Strike Radio Marathon and Wake News Radio. But, you know, we have to spread the message. What do you think?
I would love to play in Germany. I haven't been to Germany for quite a few years, and I would jump at any excuse to visit.
So why don't we try to find some nice places for you to play? Well, we'll see over the next couple of weeks or months. We will have a chance. Yeah, Steve. So you know, I mean, we think in the United We Strike initiative, we think it is very important to work together with artists and musicians like yourselves, because, you know, it is also the music, the vibration, the frequency, which is necessary to reach our fellow human beings, because, you know, only then they may understand how urgent everything is and get a feeling for the spirituality. And, you know, with the mantra and so forth, this is also a great idea.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah, you know, the frequency is definitely something which I'm becoming more and more aware of. It's not something I consciously put into my music. It's either there or it isn't there, and you know, it does seem that we are moving into a new frequency. That's something I feel very, very deeply, and I guess that hopefully gets reflected in the music, you know. But again, it's not something. If I were trying to put it in there with my thinking, then it wouldn't be the frequency. It has to come from somewhere deeper.
Yeah, it has to flow in somewhere.
Yeah.
And it will, definitely will. So we are really looking forward to what is coming next with your next songs, which will be released, you said, around November 11/11/11.
Yes, hopefully I'll put some stuff up on my website before then. But,
Yeah.
I'm planning to release the CD on the 11/11/11 date.
Oh well, we're looking forward to that definitely.
Yeah.
So
I just hope they don't decide to have a big terrorist attack on that day or something, because.
Well, that gives another push maybe to wake up even more people, because people are waking up because they are seeing through all the fraud, which is being released.
You know this thing with Obama and Bin Laden. That reminds me a little bit of a serial killer on his last days. He's absolutely almost desperate. He's absolutely almost desperate, 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 he's absolutely to be caught. So he just gets more and more and more outrageous, and until the police actually catch him. When I heard about Bin Laden and the whole story, it was like, oh come on, this is you might as well tell the American people that we just found Elvis in Iraq with all the weapons of mass destruction or something. It was just such an unbelievable story.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're testing us. Well, just how stupid are the people?
Yeah. How far can they go?
Yeah, but I find it quite worrying. That many people still believe it.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame. I mean, really, and and mass media is complicit, because they are just giving this message out. And this is irresponsible.
If they give another message out, they're going to lose their advertising. I think it's as simple as that. I don't see any dark web controlling all these people. They control themselves. If they're going to lose their advertising, they're not going to publish that story. I think it's that simple.
Yeah. Well, it's the last but not least, it's definitely the debt-based money system, which has everything in its grip.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why we say United We Strike. We say don't buy, don't comply, ask why. And don't buy means don't buy from all these globalists and the corporations which are basically putting their hands everywhere and putting this debt-based money in the pockets of all those politicians, who are basically doing their job. Okay, but that's our way of doing it, but peacefully. We always have to remind ourselves to be peacefully. Because they're only waiting that it becomes violent, okay, so that's what I just want to urge you. Okay, now Steve, we are getting to our next break and the end of our interview. Is there anything which you want to say to the audience as the last thought?
Well, anything you can do to keep your spirits up, listen to music, dance, make love, go out in nature, laugh a lot, all those good things we need to keep what we're doing in balance, because otherwise things can get very, very dark. So, yes. Let's have some fun and laugh a bit and have some joking and even just simple entertainment sometimes, just to keep the stuff in balance, and that way we're more effective, I think.
Yes. Well, I do thank you very much, and I think the audience was also very pleased to hear from you and listen to your music, which will come up also during the next break. And we're looking forward to having you on another show again. And maybe you will have some concerts coming up soon in Europe or so. But people can go to your website. This is steve-phillips.com, I think. Is that correct?
stevephillips-music.com.
Okay, sorry for that. Yeah. So please visit his website. And So thanks a lot, Steve, and looking forward to having you back again.
Okay, Detlev, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, so this is United We Strike Radio Marathon. We are here on Wake News Radio, and this was the end of my part, and we're looking forward to a great program coming soon. Today is May 14th, 2011, and if Rick is ready, then we can have a next song of Steve.
Wake News Radio für alle, die aufwachen wollen. Ohne Blatt vor dem Mund werden die Machenschaften der Dims und der Cracks, der dunklen Kräfte hinter den Kulissen dargestellt, diskutiert und die Verschwörungspraxis aufgedeckt. Jeden Dienstag und Donnerstag von 16 bis 18 Uhr für europäische Zeit hereinhören. Mehr unter wakenews.net.
Against the wall with that restless nagging fear.